you?
They're not. They're not. Is your kid playing tonight?
Do what?
Is your kid?
All right, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Monty Walker, the president of the Howe Area Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate you being here. I know a lot of people are interested in our upcoming elections. We haven't had one in a very long time, and if this goes bad, it's Jared Coffey's fault. The one who suggested it.
That's actually a true
Not that I'm throwing him under the bus or anything, but I do appreciate you being here. First of all, I want to thank all of the candidates present, the incumbents and the challengers. They have actually stood up for the city of Howe and done something, made that commitment to Howe, being incumbents and challengers. And there's a story about Howe and its apathy over the past generations, but there are people who stand up and step up, and how about a round of applause for all these? Our moderator tonight is Jason Taylor. He is from KLBC. I had a chance to know Jason. We used to work together 20 years ago or so, and at KNKT, and he has since moved across the border. And Jason, welcome. I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, Monty. Yeah. Monty and I have known each other since I had color in my hair, so we're a long time.
Thank you for doing this. So we have Tom DeFranch. He's one of the board members. He is going to be our time. He's going to give the time. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their first question. For their question, they're going to have 2 minutes. Anybody to rebuttal will have 1 minute on the rebuttal. And each candidate that wants to do so will have a chance to rebuttal. They don't have to rebuttal. So if somebody answers their 2 minute question and y'all don't want to come up here and rebuttal, that's perfectly fine. If you do, you have the right for 1 minute. We're going to do the city council first, and then we will do the mayor section at the end of that once that's over. So, let's see, what other questions do we have? Tom's got a timer. At 20 seconds, he's going to raise that big red sign. You might have saw that a minute ago. He will raise that at 20 seconds. That means wrap it up. We don't have the wrap it up music, but the red sign will take that place. Are there any questions from the candidates? I think y'all should be well versed. Again, the candidates have their own buckets of questions. Their first one, they will answer that their own one unless they've chosen not to, and then all the questions will come out of the bucket. So we're going to try to keep this at an hour. So 7:30, we're going to try to end this thing. If we want to have rapid fire, and we haven't talked about this, so if we get to a point where we want to try to move things along and have rapid fire, if all the candidates agree to do so, instead of doing 2 minutes and 1 minute rebuttal, we can do 1 minute question, 30-second rebuttal, but all of you have to agree to do that if we want, at the end, if we're running out of time. So I don't know if we'll run into that, but if somebody suggests that, we can probably try to make that happen. So with that, I think we've got everything covered. Why don't we say a quick prayer for this, all right? Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing everyone here to arrive safely. Thank you for the opportunity to control our own government. A lot of countries don't get the opportunity, Lord, to step up and represent the citizens. And I thank you for that opportunity that we are in. Lord, I pray that this civil forum remains that way. I pray that all heads are cool. And I pray for a great outcome tonight. Lord, please allow everyone to travel home safely. In Christ's name I pray, amen. Amen. Okay, so we've drawn cards. We have an order of candidates that they will go in. The first question will go to Michael Hill. These are all city council. The second is Dale Rideout. The third is Billy Ingram. The fourth is Rodney Huff. And the fifth is Rod Gross. Those will be the order of the questions tonight. and the rebuttal will go in the same order, and we'll help you out with that. So, in this case, after Michael's 2-minute answer or allowable time, Mr. Rideout would have a chance to come up and rebuttal for 1 minute, should he want to. Okay?
Okay, and just so everybody is aware, in case he didn't touch on it, he may have said it, my wife will tell you I don't always hear what's being said. There were a couple of folks who did not get me a question to start off with, so we will pull from their specific bowls here. First up is, there we go, Michael Hill. So Michael, if you would, please step to the podium. And do you want, okay, he's got the microphone. All right, so the first question for Michael is, what do you hope to accomplish as a city council member?
Thank you. First off, thank y'all for being here. This is great for us to do this. Some of the things that I would like to touch point on is, first and foremost, I'd like to strengthen the qualities of Howe. This is what led the residents to make Howe their home. We're a small town, safe, family-oriented community, little small town America. I'd like to increase the trust between the residents and the city through honesty and transparency. The city needs to head in a positive direction. For years, we've just kind of been teetering there. We still want to be small, growth is coming, and then all we're hearing lately is nothing but negativity. So we've got to go in a positive direction. However that is, whatever that entails, we need to come together, teamwork between council, mayor, and most importantly, the residents. I mean, you have a voice. It's your right to speak up. It's your right to vote. It's your right to stand up and say how you want your money spent. Okay? We have some major issues that this community faces. Some big decisions will have to be made. The community will need to be a part of all those decisions. Not just the mayor, not just the council. Everyone needs to be on board. We need to make our residents ensure that our residents that we can reach out to you and you give us a feedback. If you cannot make it to a council meeting, if you cannot, for any reasons, whether it be sports, work, anything else, we need to find a way where we can make that council meeting available to you, whether that's streaming, whether it's on the city website or a specific website. We need to make it available to you. So these are the things that I want to work on and use technology to help us as much as we can to involve all residents with all decisions that need to be made. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Up next is Dale Rideout.
I agree with pretty well what Michael said. Howe is going to grow. We can't stop the growth. Now, hopefully, as council members, as a community, we can guide that growth and help it to be something we'd like it to be. I have lived here in Howe for 50 years. All of my children grew up here in Howe. My grandchildren, many of them grew up in Howe. I love this community, and I want to see it grow in a positive way.
You still have time, Dale. Here's your question. How do we get our own water treatment plant?
Good question. We have that in the process. We're looking at it. We've got several good offers to help us pay for it. We are looking at doing this here in Howe. We can't say much about where it's going to be because that would drive up the prices of land very quickly in that area. And the prices of land are already growing very high. I really think within the next 2 or 3 years, we will have buildings started on our water treatment plant, our sewage plant, so we will no longer be dependent. Any comments, questions?
Anyone want to rebut?
April 29th, 2021, the City of Howe received a letter from the City of Sherman They are moving to sever our agreement for our water treatment plant. May 1st, 2023, they are legally allowed to turn our sewer off. Whether it happens, I don't know. They're legally allowed to do that based on the letter they sent 2 years ago. This current council and administration has had 2 years notice, and we are no closer to having our own water treatment plant than we were April 29th, 2021.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Anyone else? Okay. Up next.
My name is Billy Ingram.
Up next is Rod Gross. It is Billy? Okay, I apologize. Since you're up there. Okay, Billy, your question that I have is, why do you want to be a Howe City Council member?
This is going to sound oxymoronish. I don't. I did not make this decision to run for city council out of want. Sometimes things have to be done out of need. I am not a politician. I decided to run because I cannot continue to sit idly by and watch the things that are happening continue to happen. I'm willing to do something I don't necessarily want to do, to ensure that the things that need to happen in and for Howe get done. Don't get me wrong, I will fully commit myself to this role and will do it to the best of my abilities. What I do want, however, is a strong, united, goal-minded, transparent, and cooperative council that works with the citizens and is not just a chorus of ayes when Bill French asks for a vote on the topic. Sarah Myrick has confronted Jeff Stanley in an email that she is seeing the same behavior that Bill French, from Bill French that I have also called out. The two incumbents either haven't been paying attention to this or are complicit in it. I don't know either one of them personally. I shook both of their hands for the first time tonight. I am told that they are fine and upstanding citizens. Dale actually has an impressive community involvement resume that does go back like 41 years. That point aside, neither one of them have been elected by citizens to sit in their chairs. They were nominated and appointed by the few. In the time that they have been in their chairs, how far from the comprehensive plan have we strayed? Far enough that we need another one. We are faced with unprecedented growth that is approaching us from both the north and the south. We have to have a leadership team in place that allows as much involvement as is legally allowed. The only way this works is if we invest in we over me and work together for the betterment of Howe.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Would there like to be a rebuttal? Okay, give you 1 minute. Ready to go? Okay, then nobody wants to go to a rebuttal. Okay, up next is Rodney Huff. Okay, Rodney, your question. What is the most pressing problem facing Howe in the first 100 days after the election?
Well, the most pressing problem we have is the sewage treatment plant, because Sherman is going to turn out. And when they do, it's not going to take long until it's going to back up in your house. We have a couple options. One is we're going to have to get some sort of injunction to make them keep it on. There are other options. They're expensive, but we're probably not going to have a choice. The second biggest problem, as far as I can see, is just lack of communication from the current administration. The whole water debacle. I mean, how many people here have orange water? Surprisingly, when you turn it on, right? In today's world, it is not hard to tell people what you're doing. I mean, everybody here has this, right? You can send out 1,000 texts to 1,000 different people in a couple of seconds. I lost my chin up, sorry. There's not an excuse for not communicating. You have websites, you have robocalls, there's 1,000 different things you can do. I do this kind of stuff in my job all the time, probably way more than I want to. So those are the biggest problems I see. And the biggest one, and the one that's the most pressing, is gonna be getting a water treatment plant. One of the options I researched was portable water treatment plants. They aren't cheap, but we may not have a choice. They can have one in, they ship it from Georgia, that's the one I found, and then they plug it in and they start working. Again, those are the biggest options we've got, those are the biggest problems we're gonna have to solve.
Thank you, Rodney. Now, Rod Gross. Okay, Rod, I did not have a question from you, so we pulled one out of your bowl here. And the question is, how many times have you interacted with citizens in your council position?
Well, I've interacted with plenty of citizens that come up and ask me questions. Sorry, I get a little closer to the mic, I'm a little nervous. But yeah, if anybody's ever come up to me with questions, if I can answer them, I'll do it to the best of my ability. I don't always have the best answer, you know, but I've had some pretty good interactions, some not so good, you know, just from people not understanding. And I do agree with, you know, the, I don't like calling it transparency, I mean, that's just the word. But yes, I think we could do better at getting information out to the public. And, you know, with me being voted back in, I will do the best of my ability to do that. Like I say, I've lived in Howe my whole life, 45 years. I actually had Cub Scouts right here in this very building. So this town means a lot to me. And, you know, I hope that I can serve my community to the best of my ability. And from what I've seen sitting and things come across in front of me, I think we've done a lot of good things. I mean, sewage, I understand that, and it is being worked on. I don't think they're gonna shut it off, honestly. I don't think that's gonna happen. But, you know, it's being worked on. I mean, you know, we got issues with our streets, and like I said, the water situation, I don't care for it myself. Personally, it stinks. But it's the price of growth, and we're growing so rapidly. That's like I say, from the things I've seen, it's gonna be hard to keep up. And, you know, with your vote, I'll do the best of my ability to, you know, keep it up.
Okay, if that's, if you'd like to end it, that's totally fine. We will roll back around to Michael Hill. All right, Michael, your question is, how will you work with the existing council members and mayor to help Howe grow and resolve our current problems?
That's a great question. With the current members, depending on how the election goes, I'll work with anybody. We need to actually come together as a team, regardless of what one thinks of the other. We're facing growth. We're going to have to make some decisions. We're going to all have to put our heads together, find out what's best for the city. We're going to have to get out and start asking those questions to the citizens. Let the citizens come to us and tell us. I believe we all have emails. We all should, you know, be interactive with everybody, getting the questions that we need to answer, whether that be during the council meeting, whether that be just on the street. We all need to come together. In the past, it's been shady. I mean, we've had some members that don't want to work well with others. We had some members that have just been labeled just a naysayer for everything. We need to get past that. Whatever our differences are, however we look at things, we need to come together as one, just as a community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Anyone like to 1 minute rebuttal? Okay, we'll move on to the next question. Oh, Dale is next. Okay?
I like Michael's comments about getting along with everybody. Let me straighten out one or two things. I was talking to a council member from Sherman just a couple weeks ago, and he told me that Howe City Council is now fine and equal with the Sherman City Council. he told me that we're paid up. Oh, wait a minute, you haven't heard that before, have you? But we have caught up. Now, that doesn't mean we're not gonna hold more money next month, because this bill's gonna go on month after month after month. But as of now, we're in good shape. Sherman's not gonna be turning off our sewage. Our water that was mentioned is a growth problem coming up from bringing in new water. And every town between here and McKinney has had the same problem when they began accepting the new water.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rideout. Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on. Dale, it is your turn for 2 minutes with your question. Okay? It's a little bit of a long one, so bear with me. Brett Bearden recently resigned from the city council. In addition to the 2 seats up for election, there is another seat vacant. Should this vacancy be left or be filled by a third runner-up after the election? Why or why not?
Probably be best to leave that seat vacant until after the election and allow the new council members who may be elected to have their voice in this. Again, it's a matter of trying to represent the entire community, and if the few council members, and stop and think about it, that's only about 3 extras left now that can do the voting. If those council members were to choose a new member now, it probably would be unfair. But if we wait until after the election and then choose someone, it would be better representative of our city council.
All right, thank you. Is anyone want to rebuttal to that before we move on? Okay. We move on to Billy Ingram. And Billy, we have a question for you. Thank you, Mr. DeFrench. Here's your question. When you are at an impasse with your fellow council members, how will you handle not compromising your ethics and values and reaffirm your commitment to serve the greater good in Howe?
Communication. We're not always going to agree, but we can respectfully disagree. Communicating.
Why don't you head over there so we can see it?
Sorry. Communication. We're not always going to agree, just like everybody in this room. We don't always agree, but we can communicate through the issue and work it out as adults, as mature, responsible adults. I'm going to go off on a tangent, though. I'm going to blow your cover. Most people, you don't know him. That is Sherman's deputy pro tem mayor right there. That's Josh Stevenson. I've talked to him. Sherman is going to turn our water off. Wasn't going to blow your cover, but based off that, they've talked to y'all and y'all aren't. Sherman's going to turn this off. So that is another lack of communication that could have been worked through had there been open communication and transparency.
Okay, anyone want to rebuttal for 1 minute? Okay, we move forward. Next is Rodney Huff. There he is. Rodney, we've pulled your question.
I'm just impressed you said my name right.
I figured you were related to Charlie somehow. It's an old baseball joke, sorry if you didn't get that. Here's your question, Rodney. How do you plan to handle the fact that the city of Sherman could legally shut off our wastewater treatment on May 1st?
Well, since the election's May 6th, I'm not sure I can do much about that on May 1st. Like I said earlier, the options are legal. We can ask for an injunction, hope it gets granted. That's number one. That's probably the easiest and cheapest thing we can do. Number two is we're going to have to look for portable water treatment that will be a Band-Aid until we get to the point that we can actually get our water treatment plant built. And once we get that done, at that point, the city of Howe can actually start growing we can actually grow the way we want to grow. We can follow a plan that was, I think, created in 2010. I don't remember the exact date. But Howe has known since 1984 that this was going to be a problem. I was a 19-year-old when Howe said, hey, we need to build a water treatment plant. They kicked that can down the road until they ran out of the road. There's not anything we can do now except put a Band-Aid on it and start building. And we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to come up with creative financing. We're gonna have to probably have a bond election. I know that's a dirty word, and I'm sorry, but we're probably gonna have to do it. But we have to do it. Otherwise, we can't maintain the how we have now.
Okay, if you want us to cede your time, we can move forward. Is there anyone to say 1 minute rebuttal before we move forward? Okay. Rod Gross is next. Well, here's your question. For your tenure on the council, how many meetings have you missed?
Okay, well, to my recollection, I think I have missed 3 meetings from what I remember, and since I've been, even before the planning and zoning, which was a very short time, and then onto the council. And that's just going off my memory, which may not be the greatest, but maybe 3 meetings. I try to make every one I can. I haven't missed one in quite a while, and I don't plan on it. Things happen. I mean, I don't really understand what that question is supposed to mean, but you know, it's just things happen. Don't really know what else to say about that. But.
All right, if you are finished, we can move on. Everyone, okay. Next up, once again, Michael Hill. Michael, what do you think about emergency services in Howe?
That's a great question. I've been a part of the Howe City Police Department since 2009 to 2018. Regardless of what's said, regardless of what's been read, our emergency services are doing an amazing job. Okay, our police department has done just excellent. I mean, I'm sure y'all read the story about fentanyl in the trailer park. Guy had a gun went off for whatever reason. I mean, we don't need that in Howe at all. That gets into our schools. That's where I'm employed now with the schools. So we need to keep that out. They do a phenomenal job protecting our city. You see them all the time. They're out making sure people are driving fair through our city, not speeding, especially in school zones. Fire department. Volunteer. There's nothing greater than the heart of a volunteer. These guys, they do a phenomenal job as well, responding to calls, and people's time of need. Now the biggest question is going to come down to the ambulance service. Do we need one? Yes, we do. Speaking from experience, there is a lot of times where the response times are just, it's unnecessary. We can do it a lot quicker. Now, can we afford to do it on our own right now? I don't believe so. That's something that, if I'm elected, we'll be able to look into the budget, look into the money and see. But as of now, we're already a financially burdened city. I don't believe we've had a really fair audit in many years. So where's this money coming from? I mean, we purchase some ambulances, that's great. I hope we get it running, but we're not staffed for it. So that part of the emergency services, we're going to have to just take a look at and see. Down the road, do we need it? Yes, we do. I mean, our citizens deserve the quickest response time possible. Lives depend on it. Not just our citizens, but anybody traveling through our city. So, but as far as emergency services in the city, I mean, we do a phenomenal job. I mean, for what this city is offering these individuals, compensation-wise, fair wage-wise, we have some very good personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Tom Cameron and Cloud. All right. Up next is Dale Howe. Your question is, how will you work with the other council members and service council members in service having, okay, I apologize. How will you work with the other council members in service leaving from the citizens, since leaving from the citizens to maintain your seat on the council? I have a hard time reading.
Now, the question, I haven't left the citizens. What's that part of the question?
How will you work with the other council members?
Since leaving? Now, that's the part that's...
That looks service to me. Okay, let's just try it like this. How will you work with other council members for the service, from the citizens to maintain your seat on the council? In other words, how will you be responsible to the citizens of Howe? Let's ask it like that.
All right. I'm going to be responsible to the citizens of Howe by representing them in the way I believe is best for the city of Howe. If I'm sitting there alone as the only council member who is against something or for something, I'm going to still try my best to hang in for it. I'm not going to give up just because everybody else disagrees with me. On the other hand, I think most people that know me know I try to get along with everybody. So I don't really have problems getting along with other people, and I think we can reach agreements on most issues. But at the same time, I consider my position as being a responsibility to the community. I have nothing personally to gain. I get paid nothing. I'm getting nothing back from the city. I am just on there because I love the city. I've lived here 50 years. I raised my children here. I raised my grandchildren here. And I just want to see this city grow and be a nice place that my great-grandchildren can come and visit someday.
Thank you, sir. Up next is Billy Gordon. Okay, Billy, it's a two-part combo question. Were you, and if so, why were you banned from Howe ISD property and coaching youth sports in Howe?
I have never been banned from Howe ISD property, nor have I been banned from coaching Howe youth sports.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone? Okay. Up next is Rodney Huff. Rodney, without criticizing any of your opponents, tell us why you want to serve the citizens of Howe.
Part of the reason I want to do this is because I think I have something to offer, number one. My work as an IT professional, system engineer, you do a lot of planning. I've come to the conclusion over the course of my work life that if you don't plan, you're going to mess up. Howe has a plan, and we need to stick to the plan, but I don't think we're sticking to it. One of the things I want to do for the citizens of Howe is to take that plan. If we need to modify it, we modify it. We take that plan, we make a plan, and we stick to the plan. If something goes wrong with the plan, then you modify it, you make adjustments, you come back and you keep going. The other thing I want to do is, I've got grandkids. My grandkids don't live in Howe. My kids didn't want to stay in Howe. I want Howe to become a city that my kids and grandkids want to come back to. I want those who have grandkids, you want your grandkids to live close by. They're way more fun than having your own. So that's kind of what I want. And I want to do that not just for me, but for everyone of them. I want everyone to be proud of this town. I mean, I didn't grow up here. I moved here by choice. I wanted to live here. And I like this place. It's a nice place. It's a good place to be. I want it to stay that way. And I think I can do that for the citizens of Howe.
Thank you, Robbie. Up next is Rod Gross. Rod, your question is, what is your vision for Howe in the next 10 years?
I see my vision for how it's kind of hard to see 10 years out. I mean, just take a look at Frisco or even Van Alstyne, how far they've moved, or Melissa, Anna. It's kind of hard to conceive what we're going to look like in 10 years, but from what I've seen so far and the things I know that are coming up, it's going to blow our minds. It's going to come so fast, so quick. And like I say, are we ready for it? We're not going to be ready for everything, but from what I've seen, there's been some good work going on in the background, and lots of good things are coming. You know, a lot of the things that have been proposed tonight, you know, are in the works. I mean, believe what you want. I mean, if you have questions, come ask me. You know, come ask the mayor. Go to the city. I mean, we have some fine city workers. They haven't really been mentioned other than our police and fire, which are awesome as well. But we're understaffed with our city workers. You know, they bust their butts. I mean, you call in the middle of the night, you know, toilet won't flush, whatever. You know, you're going to probably get somebody, but just know that, you know, I appreciate that. And there's going to have to be a lot of infrastructure. And people say, where are we going to get the money? Well, I don't rightly know. That's why we have a council to get together and we'll figure it out. But 10 years, man. Been here 45 years, I haven't seen a whole lot of change, but I have seen things come and go. Things we tried, things didn't work, some things do work. So I'm here, if I'm re-elected, I'll do my best to make the best decisions for the town. You know, we'll go from there.
Thank you, Rod. Any rebuttal? Okay. Michael Hill is next. Michael, your question is, have you attended meetings to prepare for this forum? If yes, how many meetings did you attend? And please name any people that were in attendance.
Fair enough. To prepare for the forum, one meeting. And who is in attendance? Billy Ingram, Carla McDonald, Monty Walker. Why that's an issue, I do not understand, but there are a few in this building who believe that everything is a secret, that we've had secret meetings in the past. They're not secret meetings. We're individuals who have a common goal. We have a common goal to make things better for Howe. So these individuals want to immediately turn to the negative and point out that, you know, these meetings are held without y'all's knowledge, without anybody's knowledge or anything else. We send individuals in to monitor these meetings and to report back what's going on. So all we've done is we have sat down, we have discussed issues, and we got on the same page. So just so you know, gentleman behind me running for mayor, Court Myrick, I met with him as well. And we talked about some stuff. And I do believe Billy Ingram was there as well.
I was.
But there was nobody there with a cell phone to capture that meeting, to bring this to light to anybody else that's, you know, asking these questions. So, in shorthand, to answer your question, there you were. I mean, I answered them. We've had, I think that was, there's three meetings total that we talked about issues with Howe. And so I would be glad to have meetings with anybody else who wants to jump on board and talk about issues with Howe. So, thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Up next is Dale Rideout. Dale, your question is, what are you doing to serve this community today?
Today? Good question. I'm not sure about today. because today I have been busy doing some other things. I'm part of a program called Foster Grandparents. I spend 4 days a week with kindergarten kids, helping them learn. This is not done in Howe, it's done in Sherman. Today was our chance to get together and meet and have a once a month meeting to talk about our foster grandparent program. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I have been chosen as the volunteer of the month for the city of Sherman, the Sherman School District, because of my position with what I'm doing with these kids.
Okay, you can brag about that.
Thank you. I want to help people, and I spend all my time working to help people, I guess is the best way to do. I said I spend 4 days a week with the kindergarten kids. My Fridays I have been spending up until all this ice and snow hit the last few weeks. I've been going to the food bank and picking up food for 3 families and delivering it to them. I've got so many blessings poured out on me, I'm just trying to share them. And since I live in Howe should be the first place to get the shares. And I try to do that, sharing my blessings and things with the people of Howe. What am I doing today?
I would argue that you're here today. That means a lot.
Well, let me touch one more thing. Thank you very much. I am a chorus that meets on Thursday nights. I'm missing that chorus meeting to be here. It's a very important chorus meeting. We have our rehearsals and we've got our spring concerts coming up very soon. But I'm here tonight to be with you folks.
Thank you, Mr. Whiteout. Up next is Billy Ingram. Billy, your question is, Brett Bearden recently resigned from the city council. Should the current mayor appoint someone of his choosing to fill this vacant spot? Why or why not?
No, the mayor does not have the legal authority to appoint a replacement. That power lies solely with the council, as is written in state law. The mayor cannot do that.
Okay, thank you. Up next is Rodney Howe. Rodney, here's your question. Why is the appointed zoning board allowing developments to overbuild areas outside of the community plan, terminating Jack's Leavenworth from the board?
Why is the appointed zoning board allowing developments to overbuild areas outside of the community plan, then terminating Jack Leavenworth from the board?
Okay, I think I understand that question. I don't know why they're allowing it. If it does not go along with the current city plan, they should have not allowed it. It should have gone to the city council, and the city council should have said no. The planning and zoning board makes recommendations. The city council is the one that makes the decision. If it doesn't fit the plan, you can't say yes to it unless you're willing to go back and revise the plan and see if it's going to benefit you or not. My understanding of that addition is that it's going to have 1,500 apartments in it. I do know that I was told that the school was not consulted at all. They didn't know that this was coming. So the school was looking at what are we going to do with maybe 500-600 extra kids. But no, that shouldn't happen. And if I was on the board, now, I'm one vote, but I would have voted against it.
Thank you. And that leads us to Rob Gross. Ron, your question. Why did you vote for the proposed adjustment in last month's meeting after the citizens from that area explained to you the rundown infrastructure that needed attention and repair?
Well, having known that area, I know it does have drainage problems. I know the streets are not the greatest, even all over town. But the reason I voted the way I did is you're taking one lot and you're putting 2 new homes on it. That's going to make the whole neighborhood look better. So that's the decision I made.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Walker, we have 7:20 now. Do you want to go through one more round with each of them?
I think we can.
Okay. We have one more question for each of you. Mr. Hill, you are up first. Your question. How is the city park being used? What is the problem with letting Howe citizens use the park for disposing of tree branches and letting the citizens use the compost? The city could install cameras for unauthorized dumping and give tickets, open 2 days a week and charge a small fee per load. This would utilize the park and be a great benefit to the citizens. It would also keep brush and branches from piling up on the streets for weeks. This is just a suggestion for consideration. I don't know what the question is.
That's fine. We used to we had a brush pile. Anybody's been here long enough knew that you can take the brush out there, dump it. Problem with that is it's not monitored. You know, you try to tell everybody, hey, just brush. Okay, we don't need building materials, we don't need sheetrock, we don't need 2x4s. And what happens is people go out there and they just unload everything they possibly can. Anything that they don't want to either put in the trash can, anything they don't want to put in a dumpster. So what happens is, you know, the city has to man that. The city has to send somebody out there, it's usually on a Saturday, pay that individual so much, and it's, you know, it's time consuming and it's costly. You know, this individual, it's usually overtime that this person is getting paid. And so I guess at some point in time, from my understanding, the city decided that we wasn't going to do that. We have used the park in the past. I found, you know, if you remember, there was a circus came to town. Not only was it over here at the baseball fields, it was back there on that, I guess, back 40, whatever you want to call it, where we used to do the limb pile. So we use it occasionally. It's a very good suggestion about having an individual out there kind of monitoring. Let's open it up again, because I do know a lot of people complain. Because I believe big trash pickup, you have to cut your limbs of a certain size, got to be bundled. Nobody really wants to do that. So yes, if we can open that back up and possibly look at, you know, having somebody man it. Camera-wise, just having a camera alone out there is going to be really tough. Because when the truck pulls in, wants to dump, you know, whatever it's dumping, it's going to be hard to see exactly who that is. You may be able to see the truck, see the license plate, but to really go after somebody, you're really going to have to know who's doing that. I mean, which individual is getting out of the truck, dumping illegal substance out there. So the best way to do it is just to man it. Have somebody there watching. That way the fire department can do what they've done in the past. They've burned it for training, and it would really help the citizens out. So that's definitely something that needs to be looked at to reopen. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Up next, Dale Whiteout for your final question. Mr. Whiteout, where is the best location for a wastewater treatment plant in your opinion?
I'm hesitating because, again, as I mentioned earlier, if we let out our ideas and our suggestions for a wastewater plant, people are going to start putting options on the property. And the property is going to cost us a lot more. This wastewater treatment plant is going to cost us a lot anyway. But probably considering the flow of our sewage and the way it's flowing now, it would be somewhere towards the northern part of Howe. It would just about have to be because that's where our sewage is going. If we swapped it anywhere else toward the south, we'd probably have to put in a bunch of lift stations in order to get it moved there. So somewhere in the north.
Okay, thank you very much. Up next for your final question, it's Billy. Billy, your question is, is there a city nearby that Howe could emulate in growth?
Really, the cities, the smaller cities to our south, Van Alstyne, Anna, Melissa, they've been faced with the same problems we have now. They got them 10, 12 years ago. We could, put heads together with them, communicate with them, and see what they've done to kind of copy that as the growth comes from the south to the north. Doesn't really, Sherman's always been bigger than we have, so it would work better for them. Nobody else has 75 running through the middle of them like we, Van Alstyne, Anna, and Melissa do. So those would be the three best choices.
Okay, thank you, sir. Up next is Rodney Howe. Rodney, your final question is, how much attention should be given to our streets?
A lot. I'm not a fan of losing a muffler just to run down with a quick check. Our streets need a lot of work, and there's several streets that, as far as I'm concerned, they need to be straight, smooth, and resurfaced. As far as the police officers, I don't know how you go fast chasing anybody out there because that would beat you to death. But our streets are not in good shape. Drive down by Ferguson Field, you could lose a car going by Ferguson Field, and I know a lot of people have kids, small kids, they're playing baseball there, and there's a lot of games that get played there. We're gonna have to prioritize what we spend money on. We're gonna have to start looking at, okay, these roads are worse than those roads, we gotta fix these first. And we're gonna have to start doing it, and it's gonna be incremental. It's not gonna change overnight. We're not gonna be able to walk out there and go, wave our magic wand, and all of our roads are gonna be smooth, and they're gonna be wide, and we're all gonna be able to, drive with a cup of coffee and not burn ourselves to death. But it's gotta happen, because we can't have streets that are falling apart. We can't have infrastructure that's falling apart. But we also, and I mentioned this earlier, we've got to communicate with the citizens. And we've got to let y'all know what we're doing. We've got to ask your opinions. I'm a fan of just having votes. You know what? We have to have a special election. If we're going to spend money, that money wasn't pre-approved, I think we ought to have a special election. It says, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to spend money. And then we know exactly what you guys want.
Thank you, sir. Our final question for our final candidate for tonight is for Rod Gross. Rod, your question is it important to include a school district, or is it important to include the school district in planning and zoning development of the city?
Well, I don't know that I have a great answer for that. I would say there would have to be a good idea to have some communication between the school and the city. I really, honestly, I don't have a great answer for that.
Thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to, I know, and I appreciate that. That is going to conclude our councilperson interview for tonight. I would like to say, if we could give them all a round of applause. It is a very difficult thing to put yourself out there. When you know that you're going to feel upset sometimes. So, on behalf of everyone here tonight, thank you all for showing up and answering those questions. I'm going to turn it over to Monty Walker. If you ever want to get a hold of, grab somebody's attention, just give a little feedback.
All right, we're going to give you a few minutes to stretch your legs. We're going to get going with the mayoral portion here in just a few minutes. We'll try to keep on schedule, but if anybody needs to use the restroom, that'd be a good time to do that. If you want to stretch your legs, we're going to give it 5 minutes or so we'll get going fairly quickly.
second that.
So, okay, we're ready for the mayor portion. We've drawn cards. Carla McDonald will lead off with her first question, followed by Court Myrick, and then Mayor Bill French will follow after Court. So, I guess we're ready for the first question.
Yes.
Is it cold for everybody? Okay, just for you, Mr. Coe.
Good evening. Is this on?
Hey, Monty? There he is, okay. All right, so much like in the council forum, they were each asked if they wanted to give us a first question. And Carla's is, why would you be a good choice for mayor?
Thank you. Citizens deserve to have a voice. As the people's mayor, I will advocate for the citizens, help to develop policies based on community needs, and be a bridge between the citizens and our local government. Policies are meant to guide decisions made on behalf of the citizens for services offered and future development that affects everyone in our community some way. Policymakers should rely on ideas from many sources, including citizens, staff, advisory committees, the Chamber of Commerce, and others. As the people's mayor, I will use my skills in collaboration and communication to bring parties together in the policy development process. I will advocate to ensure policies directly reflect fulfilling the dreams and aspirations of the citizens. I am experienced in serving, collaborating, and advocating for others through confident, non-judgmental, and respectful leadership. I will use my problem-solving skills to identify areas of strength to improve the quality of living in Howe. I will advocate for the needs of the citizens before the council. I will offer to lead with a compassionate public servant's heart, to empower and motivate those whom I am honored to serve. I will work towards the preservation of small town qualities while accommodating growth. I will strive to bring balance to matters presented for all involved as a citizen-focused people's mayor and public servant and not a politician.
Thank you.
In 20 seconds after I hold up the
Up next is Court Myrick. Court's question is, what is your plan to pay for a wastewater treatment facility and the other critical infrastructure that Howe needs in the near future?
So a wastewater treatment plant, along with fixing our sewer system so that we can eliminate the I&I issues that have caused problems in the past, as well as repair roads, is going to be a heavy investment on our town. I'm not going to lie, we're going to have to call a bond election. The way we minimize the amount of that bond to save everyone here tax dollars is that we increase developer fees for new developments. So each lot that's built, new homes are built on, the money by developers is helping fund infrastructure in other parts of town. Instead of divisiveness, we need to collaborate with other communities around us, partner with the county, the Greater Texoma Utility Authority, the Regional Mobility Authority, Dorchester and Gunter, to see if we can work together to develop a waste treatment plant that services more than just Howe, so that we're not stuck with the entire cost of both developing it and then running it. We're going to have to help spread the cost. The other thing that we need to do is not have high density, low value growth and build to rent and apartments. We need low density, high value growth. We need high value homes to increase our tax base and increase our tax revenue to help pay for the infrastructure this town needs.
Thank you. Up next is Mayor French. And Mayor French declined to submit a question, but rather...
May I short statement as to why?
Sure.
Good evening. First of all, thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this. It's my pleasure to be here. I did not come tonight to promote myself. I came to answer your questions. That's why I did not submit a question to the council. I think it's pretty clear what my positions are as far as the growth and loyalty to the city, but tonight I want to focus purely on your concerns and your questions.
Thank you. Okay, so our first question then would go to Carl. Ms. McDonald, prior to November of 2022, how many city council meetings have you attended? Estimate. That's what it says.
Well, I did not attend the November 2022 meeting, and I did not attend the December 2022 meeting. However, I have attended every meeting since then.
Okay. If you want to continue, you can. If not, we can move forward. Okay. Up next, court. Mr. Meyer, what's your position on mandated masks?
Mandated masks, like most government mandates, are maybe well-meaning but rarely effective. I feel that business owners should, as a business owner myself, I feel businesses should choose the policies that best reflect their community and those around them. I would think that if you're sick, if you're running a fever, if you're sneezing, personal responsibility says maybe isolate yourself from other people or wear a mask in public. But I don't think that on high government mandates that are one size fits all are ever very effective.
Thank you, sir. Up next is Mayor French. Mayor French, the question for you is, how do you plan to actually implement a successful EMS after your recent decisions to put Howe in debt to buy empty ambulances with only volunteer staff and burn bridges with previous connections?
It's a very good question, and I welcome the opportunity to address it. First and foremost, you don't buy anything but ambulances when you go buy, okay, to address that part of it. You then buy the ambulance, you equip it with the necessary accessories and supplies, which we have done. We have received our heart monitors, we have all of our soft supplies in. All we're waiting on is our cots, or gurneys they're called, and the approval from the state for our license. So we have that time to grow. The way that we're going to fund this, and I'm very glad to tell you about this, we for the past 20 years have been paying the Greater Texas Utility, GTUA, Greater Texas Utility Authority, $28,000 a month for water that we were not using. We were part of an agreement that was made over 20 years ago for a water line that ran from the south up through Melissa, Anna, Van Alstyne, and then Howe. All three of those cities had begun to use it, and then we were the very last. So that being said, that's $28,000. In addition to the fact that we now are not past due to the city of Sherman, then we have $10,000 there. Put those two together, added to the $50,000 that I have in the EMS budget, it stands that we are at almost $400,000. The note on our ambulances is spread out over 6 years.
Mr. French, we have reached your time limit.
I'm sorry, folks, I'll be trying to table.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to rebuttal.
Okay, 1 minute, and then your question will come.
The current city council, there's a member that has mentioned that they believe that you were misleading with information, that you were misleading with some information when you brought the decision to the council to vote on the ambulances. I just wanted to mention that your current council members believe that your information is misleading when you brought it to them to vote on those ambulances.
Mike, can you switch microphones? This one's hotter than that one, and I'm loud enough without it. Switch microphones? Sure. This one. Yes. Okay, you asked him a question, Mayor French, you get 1 minute.
What is my time?
1 minute.
1 minute.
Just on first.
I am unaware that I have ever misled anyone, far be it a council person. These people have the ability not only to make a decision, but to ask questions. And if they're not clear, by all means, let's do that. Misleading someone is the furthest thing from my mind, not only in the city business, my personal business that I own, and as well as my family. I mislead no one. If there were questions, we would be glad to have covered them. I don't feel that we have done anything except try to improve the quality of life and safety for the city of Howe. It's an ongoing project that we're not through with. But our intentions are, once we get through our first year, which is the most expensive that can start at, this will actually turn out to be a profit source for the city of Howe. Because we have 2 ambulances, we will also run transfers with that. Transfers are very profitable when they move patients from hospital to hospital and so forth. So this could end up being a very, very fluid and good thing for the city of Howe. No one has been misled intentionally. If they did not know to ask me a question, that's not my fault. Okay?
Thank you, Mayor French. You answered a rebuttal on a rebuttal, so it is actually your question now.
Okay.
Okay?
Did we skip, Mr.?
Well, you haven't gotten to your question because you rebutted on his question and then he rebutted back.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. What are your plans for resolving our water treatment issues and our debts and financial issues that you may be inheriting if you are elected?
Well, I'll start with the financial part. I think that we need to do a complete audit first and assess our financial situation. We need to certainly prioritize things that do need to be done. As far as the water goes, well, that is something that I've already been looking into with TCEQ, and they actually had come out a couple weeks ago, and they have made some suggestions to the Public Water Works to help them try to problem solve on that water. And was the other one sewer? Sorry.
That's okay. Water treatment issues, debt, and financial issues you may inherit if you were elected.
Okay, so I did cover all of that.
Okay. Anyone want rebuttal time? Okay, we move forward for court. Court, your question is, would it be unethical for you to be mayor with your wife on the city council?
No. We reached out to the Texas Municipal League to ask about the legalities of all of this before I even filed the paperwork, before I announced anyone. We checked with their attorneys. They say that because we don't make up a quorum, that there's no legal or ethical issues in their mind, and that's how we feel. My wife and I have already talked about it. With 5 kids at home, our kids don't want to hear us talk about city issues over the dinner table. Our plan is already in place to talk about city emails to city email. That way, there's a record of it that all citizens can have access to, can request, and can see, and that we can lay things out in writing so that people know the discussions we're having if it's not happening at council meetings.
Thank you, Court. Up next is Mayor French. Mayor, why is it that despite a 9.62% increase in the budget available to the city of Howe from increased taxes, the street repair budget has decreased from last year?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the last part.
Why is it that despite a 9.62% increase in the budget available to the city of Howe from increased taxes, the street repair budget has decreased from last year?
It all boils down to prioritizing. There are bad streets in every city in America. I can take you to Sherman, Texas and show you streets inside their corporate city limit that are gravel. Streets are priority, yes. Are they life-threatening? Are they safety-oriented? Are they growth-oriented? Not always. We fix them as we can. We are talking literally tens of millions of would like to see done, and that's brand new roads with nice white stripes. That is something that can only be done in small increments. We do patch, we do repair, we do what we can, but what people would like to see is so cost prohibitive. I don't mean what it is. It's somebody told me one time it was so much per foot or so much per yard, and even I was gobsmacked over it. What it costs to actually go back to dirt and start all over, it is unbearable. We do keep our eyes open for grants. Grants have been used before for street improvement. We've currently got one in application process now that will improve Young Street from Highway 75 to Highway 5. If we get that, that will be a way that we upgrade our roads. But we're not robbing the necessary services that we need to do it with. We work on it when we can, as we can.
Thank you, Mayor French. Up next is Harlan McDonald. Ms. McDonald, your question is, did Monty Walker ask you to run for city council? If yes, then why?
No, he did not. That's a good point. No, he did not ask me to run for city council or for mayor, and I'm not running for city council. I'm running for mayor.
Okay, thank you. I just read it as it's written. Okay, Mr. Meyer, should the current mayor appoint someone of his choosing to fill Brett Bearden's seat?
No, I believe the best way to handle the current vacancy is to wait for the new election to happen, and then the city council can decide. My thought would be to whoever is the third highest vote getter in the city council race should just fill that seat, because that's the will of the voters in town.
Rebuttal by Mayor French. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. Mr. Myrick has a great concept, and I agree with it to a point. However, let me clarify. The mayor does not appoint a council seat. Nominations are made to the council, and the council votes on that nominee or multiple nominees as they are. However, we do not also have the luxury of saying whoever comes in third gets the job. It goes back to its original form, where nominations are made to the city council and votes are taken. We have pretty much reached a consensus that these decisions will be made after the May 6th election. We only have one more council meeting between now and the election, and the most prudent thing to do would be wait when we are in a new election term or after the election. We will then make the effort to take nominees and have the council vote to fill that seat.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it is your question. Yes, sir. Why all the secrecy with our current water, sewage, financial issues, and how will your leadership and servant leader skills work to resolve that?
To my knowledge, there is not one secret in this city regarding our wastewater treatment plant, our water issues, or any other. The fact that we may not respond to accusations and jibes on social media does not mean that we're not responding. That's not the formal venue to do it with. Come to City Hall, we'll talk, we weren't happy. Attend the council meeting, a lot of things are discussed there. There are no secrets regarding this. We know that our sewer treatment plant or wastewater treatment plant is going to be extremely, extremely expensive. We will no doubt probably have to go bonds to do this. However, we have got commitments from our developers who are going to help offset that. We have commitments currently right now to the tune of $4 million from one of our developers. $2 million of it is due within the next 90 days. Once we start construction, the other $2 million will be complete. Will this pay for it? No, it will not. It will take a lot of the payment out of the price, though. With regard to our water issues, I don't understand the question of secrecy. Please, I'm not being difficult. I just don't see where there's been any secrets. When we went with this water, when we turned that pipe on, it was posted in the Howe Enterprise. It was also posted on the city website. Now, did I know the water was going to start being orange or yellow? No, I had no idea. I don't know what's inside these pipes. What we are seeing are mineral deposits or rust, for lack of a better description, in the water. But that's not unique to Howe. Every city that has used this water experienced this. Van Alstyne folks tried to make a statement that it took them about 90 days to get through that. If you talk to anyone that works at the Van Alstyne Water Department, it took them a year flushing. Flushing is what fixes it. We put additional automatic flushers in today and yesterday. We have announced some new ones on the south end of town, and they are working to clear these lines. We also have our citizens who have had problems. If they notify City Hall, we put them on a flat rate bill, and they can flush their home water as well at no extra charge to the citizen.
Thank you, Mayor.
May I comment?
Yes, you can make a rebuttal. You have 1 minute.
So you're saying that the city council will be the one to appoint the new, we're gonna wait until after the election? And also about the water, you had mentioned that, my question is the citizens are limited to talking about problems in front of the city council. Can I ask why you limit people from speaking and asking questions?
Mayor French gets 1 minute.
We do not limit people from speaking. We do very like many other cities, including the city of Sherman. You may speak to any agenda item. The reason for that is for prudence and time to get the job done. We as a council, or they as a council, quite frankly, cannot even respond to a comment of an item or subject that is not on the agenda. So now we have it so that if you have a comment on any item on the agenda, you are afforded 3 minutes to do so. I'm sorry, I forget the second word. No, the mayor does not indeed appoint council people. That's never happened. It is voted on by the council. The mayor can make a nomination, as can any other council person. But no, the mayor does not have the authority, the right, or the history of ever appointing someone to the council.
Have you ever appointed anyone to the council?
That's asking eventually. I've never done it.
Okay, just clarifying.
Thank you. Carla, what is your question now?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Carla, your question is the mayor position a paid position?
No, it is not. It's a volunteer position, and according to the budget, there is a $1,000 budget that is allowed between the mayor and the city council.
Okay. Thank you. Clerk, is your question? Reset the clock. And Mr. Myrick, your question is, what are your strengths and weaknesses relative to the other candidates?
Well, that's a good question. I have years of servant leadership. I'm a volunteer leader with Girl Scouts, and so if I can wrangle a bunch of 9-year-old girls, I can wrangle a city council. I've worked in our youth program at the church. I'm the board president at the rehabilitation center where we help children with speech therapy and physical therapy. I know what budgets are made up of. I know going through items one by one to figure out where costs need to be cut, where things have been misappropriated. I have the time and capability, the patience to go line by line through bank statements so that we know exactly where we are money-wise. As far as weaknesses go, that's a weird question to ask a candidate, but I'm not near as experienced as Mr. French. He's been at this much longer than I am, and I feel that Mrs. McDonald has a higher education background than I do. I have a bachelor's degree in business administration. I believe she's working on or has a master's degree. So I would say maybe I'm not the same level of educational quality that she has, but I feel that the qualities I do bring are what we need in the mayor right now.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick. Next is Mayor French. Mayor French, your question is it legal to put flyers in the mailbox without a stamp?
No, it's not. Did it happen? Yes. Did I do it? No. I hired a 17-year-old high school girl who needed money and paid her by the hour to walk the neighborhoods and pass out brochures. I instructed her, stick it in the door or screen door of the house, okay? After the third day of doing it, she was working down Denny Street. And for some reason, I was throwing it through quicker, or if she was nervous about the traffic, whatever, she took 5 flyers, put them in envelopes, and threw them in the mailbox. Of course, I immediately heard about it. I did not know it had happened until it was done. And it does no good to close the gate after the horse is bolted. I did call the postmaster, explained it to her, apologized. I said it was an inadvertent act from a minor child. There was no intent to this. She literally started laughing. She said, "Is that the worst?" I said, "Man, that's it. There were 5 houses is what I was told. And it only happened by mistake." She said, "Do not give it another thought."
Thank you, Mayor French. Our next question is for Carla McDonald. Ms. McDonald, what professional experience do you have that you feel qualifies you to be mayor?
Well, I believe what qualifies me is I am a mental health counselor, and I specialize in problem solving, collaboration. I am approachable. I like to problem solve, really. I work with a lot of families and couples and individuals, and many of them come to me with problems that they have found themselves in and don't know how to get out of it, and I like to help them. And so anyway, we do that. I do not have my master's degree just yet. I will have it in December. I am finished with all of my courses, but I am in an internship, just so you all know, and so I do have that. I am a people person. I like to listen to people, to their problems, and again, help problem solve. I like to help them find their own strengths, look for resources. And I believe that Howe has a lot of strengths, and the people in Howe, and I believe that we have a lot of resources right here that are just not being utilized, and I would like to help with that.
Thank you. Ms. McDonald? Up next is Court Myrick. Mr. Myrick, your question is, what political party are you?
Well, I'm a moderate independent. I generally vote in Republican primaries, voted for Republican candidates. A lot of time in federal elections, I will vote for the Libertarians because I hope for the day that they get 5% of the vote so that they can get the matching funds that would allow them to compete in elections. Because I think the only way you're going to break the gridlock at the federal level is for a third option that's somewhat in the center to go between the two parties that have become kind of unwilling to cooperate and unwilling to compromise.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick. Up next is Mayor French. Mr. Mayor, why has the debt in Howe increased drastically since you have held the mayor position? And how can the citizens trust that trend will not continue under your leadership?
Did you say the debt, sir?
Yes, sir. Why has the debt in Howe increased drastically since you have held the mayor position? And how can the citizens trust that trend will not continue under your leadership?
We have gone into debt when it was necessary. There have been no frivolous purchases. We've not gone out and bought new leather pickup for the city manager or anything like that. We spent money where we had to. When you do not have a bottomless pit budget with disposable funds, the only way you can fix things that need to be fixed is sometimes go and borrow the money. The major debt that we have made has been for police cars that had to be replaced. They've also been made for the ambulances that we bought, and it's because the city did not have $180,000 in finance reserves. So we went and borrowed the money to do this, as does most of America. It's very rare that someone these days goes and buys anything at a substantial price without making payments on it. The banks love that. We will make annual payments on this ambulance note until it is paid for, unless we get an opportunity to pay it off early. And that is my ultimate goal, is to get it paid off early, as soon as we possibly can, without withholding necessary funds that need to be spent otherwise at the city. I'm not aware of any major debt other than that specific one, and I'll be more than happy to own it if somebody will point it out to me, that we've done over and above the vehicles necessary for our police department. I think we did buy a new truck for the water department. And of course, we have bought now these ambulances to create our own emergency services, thereby giving us the independence from others.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor French. Up next. Yes, Ricardo? Okay, you have 1 minute.
So at a recent city council meeting, I did talk about the $42,500 that Howe does owe for EMS services and that has not been paid. But I also had found in the 2021 annual financial report that we have not paid Waste Connections, which is our trash service. We owe them actually $57,797. But according to the operating revenues versus the expenses, we actually made $99,959. And I'm just wondering, if we made that much money, why do we owe them? I would think that we should actually pay that bill.
Okay, Mayor French has 1 minute for rebuttal.
We have a city administrator who works hard every day, as well as does all of our city staff, to pay our bills. The waste management is one that I'm totally unaware of. But to address the EMS bill, we were not aware, in all honesty, that we owed the city of Van Alstyne anything until we reached out after the courtesy of Ms. McDonald bringing it to light to find out what in the world they were talking about. There is not a $42,000 bill, there is a $30,000 bill. This is going to be hard to explain in under a minute. They billed us for services that we did not agree to. We were not under contract with the mutual aid at the time, and we're not going to pay what we did not be obligated to pay. I went back to our minutes. We were approached with a $30 bill. We instructed our city administrator to go back and renegotiate, and then it was not brought back to us. So at that date, those dates posted on that invoice are for services that they charged us for that we were not under contract to pay. Now, to be frugal with the city's money, to be a good steward of the money, just because you bill me doesn't mean I'm going to pay you. You need to prove I owe you. Otherwise, that's wasting money.
Thank you, Mayor French.
Can I rebuttal?
Okay, 1 minute and we'll have an opportunity.
Sure. I just want to clarify, is the bill that you're referring to that we don't owe, is that Texas Vital Care? Is that what you're referring to? Because, all right, and then, so if it's not Texas Vital Care, because they did have their ambulances here, and yet we used their ambulance service, but we didn't pay for that. And then also, the Van Alstyne is who we owe for. I actually did do an open records request on that, and that's how I came up with that dollar amount, because the city of Van Alstyne sent me the invoice.
Absolutely, yes, sir. 1 minute, please.
This will be hot, hard, and quick. We reached out to the city manager of Van Alstyne. He sent me, or us, at the city hall, an invoice for $30,000. Real quickly on Texas Vital Care. We made an agreement with them for $50,000 to come to the city of Howe, and they got to keep every dime that they billed. We were supposed to pay them $25,000, and then 6 months later, based on their performance, we would pay them the other $25,000. They sent the contract, I signed it, Dr. Frame, who was their medical director at the time, sent the contract, I signed it, sent it back. When I was told by a new medical director that they hired that we had never paid them, my first question was to Jeff Stanley, why have we not paid that? He said, we don't have the signed contract back. They never did sign it and send it back to us. We do not have an agreement. So I called the new medical administrator and I said, sign the contract, I'll pay you. And he laughs and says, what contract? I'm not doing it for that. I said, we acted in good faith, we signed, we can pay and will pay. All I need is the contract to do so. Within a matter of weeks after that, they shut their doors. They pulled their ambulance out of us. They did the same thing to Tioga, and now they no longer exist. So in essence, we saved the city of Howe a minimum of $25,000 by requiring them to honor the contract.
Thank you, Mayor French. Mr. Brown, is now your question, okay? Your question is, when you commented on Facebook, you are ready to clean house, to whom are you referring?
I do not recall saying that I was going to clean house.
Just
So,
reading what was there.
I'm sorry?
Just reading what was on.
Okay. So I'm not really sure what we're referring to. If I am elected mayor, as mayor, my intention is not to clean house. As far as employees go, I've actually had some employees come to me and ask me about that. And my response is, as long as everybody is doing their job and we're being honest and ethical and we're treating the citizens with respect, I don't see any reason why anyone has to go as long as they're doing what they can to the best of their ability. Now, if I do find that something is going on that is dishonest, now that might be a different story, or if we're not doing our job, or not respecting the citizens, because I think that's highly important.
Okay, thank you, Ms. McDonald. Up next is Mr. Meyer. Mr. Meyer, your question is, are you familiar with Howe's comprehensive plan, and how do you plan to adhere to it?
So I looked over the comprehensive plan. At this point, we're so far away from the comprehensive plan that we're going to have to develop a new plan. We're in a position now where for over a decade it hasn't really been followed, and it's time that we make a fresh start. That means figuring out what our finances are, what our financial state is with a forensic audit. That means talking to the citizens, and that means figuring out the kind of low-density, high-value growth that we need to increase our tax revenue base so that we can grow in a responsible way that maintains our small-town charm. I will say that one of the things I would like to do is see if we can not have to build the rent next to the high school, because that is not the kind of growth we need, and it's not the kind of growth that goes in our current comprehensive plan or one that I would want to be a part of in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Up next is Mayor French. Mayor French, as a real estate broker, are you benefiting from development?
In the 30 years that I have lived in the city of Howe, I have sold less than 1/2 houses in Howe. If I had to determine my life by the properties I sell and how we were started 50 years ago, I worked very hard to avoid any conflict. I had a man come here several years ago that was wanting to build a big travel plaza. And I told him at the beginning, I will help you. At the time, I was a council person. I wasn't even the mayor at the time. I said, I will help you, but do know this, that I will help you, but you will not pay me, because I do serve on the council. I refuse to ever let the two get in conflict with each other. What people think of me matter a whole lot more than what they pay me. My integrity is the only thing that is 100% mine. You cannot attack my integrity, it is mine, and it is very valuable to me. So no, sir, to answer the question directly, I have never, nor will I ever, benefit in my real estate business as from being a mayor or a council person in the city of Howe.
Thank you, Mayor French. Up next is Ms. McDonald. And before we move into this round, I would like to tell the candidates this is going to be the final question for each of you. Okay? So your final question, Ms. McDonald, Howe has historically been an apathetic community, hence the 21 years since the mayoral election. What can you do to encourage citizen involvement?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, that I have been part of that problem myself at times. There's been times where I have been involved and times where I have not. And I want to take ownership of that, because I think it's time to actually be more involved. With that said, I can identify with those who are not involved. And I feel like one of the ways that we can encourage citizens is by honing in on their strengths, honing in on what it is that they have to offer, how. But in order to do that, we actually need to listen to the citizens. We need to be available to the citizens. And also we need to be approachable. We need to allow them to have their time to visit with us during city council meetings about their concerns.
All right, thank you, Ms. McDonald. Mr. Myrick, your final question is this. How can your background be of value to the city of Howe if you were elected?
So I have a strong construction background with the growth and development that's coming. I know the language of developers. I know the language of builders. I know what their pressure points and their pain tolerances are, and it's time we leverage some of that to get what we need in Howe versus unresponsible growth that is not going to benefit us in the long term. I also have personal and professional relationships with the city of Sherman. I've already reached out to leadership in Sherman to ask that they do not cut off our waste treatment until after the election and a new council and mayor is seated, so that we have time to negotiate an extension to our wastewater treatment contract, and I'm willing to leverage my connections with the city council of Sherman so that we get a fair extension on our waste treatment contract to give us time to build the facility we need in order to grow properly.
Thank you, Mr. Myrick. Mayor French, your final question. When new families look at a new city, the first two things they look at are the school and the parks. Where does Howe rank among competing communities in those two areas?
For the over 30 years that I have lived in the city of Howe, the biggest bragging rights we ever had was our schools. That's actually what brought me and my family here 30 years ago, so that my children could go to Howe and get to school. I raised 3. They went all the way through. I have 2 with college educations that are successful in their fields. It all started here. Parks is an ongoing project that works constantly. If you will look right up the street here, you will see one of the most beautiful pieces of playground equipment that we have ever had. We were able to talk to a company that needed to sell it. We got it cheap. It was not cheap, but by park equipment prices or standards it was. We've done that. We improved Coach Simmons Park on the other side of town. We put 3 very simple park pieces of equipment in there. They're not fancy. They were not really expensive. However, those 3 pieces of equipment in that park now cover a 1,000-foot radius that a registered sex offender cannot live within that. That was the purpose that we did that, was to protect that neighborhood. This one's exactly the same way. This company we bought it from says it is 1 unit combined with 3 individual pieces and should qualify us for that. We are now also working with our 3rd developer who is putting in a place out here on 902 called Connections Park. That is a dream come true for this city. It is a 10-acre project that will have a tennis court the school will use. It'll also have pickleball for those that want that. We will have large areas for the other sports to be enjoyed, not formally, but enjoyed, and even a splash park. We'll be the first town of our size north of McKinney that I'm aware of that has a splash park. And that's all being done by Texas Texoma Health Foundation, pardon me, and a private individual. And for that, we are graciously happy that this is happening. So both of those items are important, not only to myself, but our entire council.
Thank you, Mayor French. Sure, yes.
The park over here that you were referring to on the playground equipment, I don't have the figures with me, but I know I have found it, and I think it said that it cost like $55,000 for that equipment. So my understanding is though that we took a loan out for that. Okay, so I'm just mentioning that because I want kids to have a playground and everything, but I'm not so sure that that's good use of our money is to take a loan out for playground equipment. But I'm also wondering why we're not using the 46 acres that the city of Howe has back here on the end of Davis Street. And why is it that we're not utilizing that for a park, like maybe a ball field? We could have a track, we could have a walking, hiking, biking trails, we could have dog park, we could have, again, softball, football fields, soccer fields.
Yeah, that's your 1 minute is up. Mayor, you have a 1 minute to
The 26 acres that we have over at the end of Davis Street was donated to the city of Howe some years ago.
46.
I'm sorry?
46.
Pardon me, 46. The 46 acres was donated some years ago. It is on our radar to become our new sports complex when we can afford it. We have ball fields out here on the highway where it's an extremely valuable land. That land is too valuable to be a ballpark. Someday we hope to put them over here. The reason that we have not done that is it is an extremely expensive project. Beyond imagination, it's expensive. The $50,000 piece of park equipment we have up here retails for $150,000 plus installation. I've been working with this company for about a year on a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant that we sadly we missed what we were trying to. She's the one that made it so where this was actually a demo. They not only sold it to us at 1/3 of the cost and installed it for free, which saved me another $7,000 or $8,000. They came to Howe and they did a photo shoot on this equipment for that company because that was part of the concession we made.
Thank you, Mayor French. That is going to conclude our Mayor Candidates. Yes, please give me all the hand of applause. And like I said, when I was talking about the council members, please remember how difficult of a job it is when you're running, when you're serving. You're giving a lot of your personal time and wanting to help the community, whether you disagree or agree with that person, respect the fact that they are running. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm going to turn it back over to Mayoral.
Thank you, Jason. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Thank you to our chamber board. Let's give those guys and girls a round of applause. If you've read some things on social media, you thought this thing could get out of hand, I'm really proud of the way it went. It was very civil, and I have to, congratulate all candidates for that. By the way, just for clarification, I also was asked to meet with Fort Myrick for lunch, and I did so. I was also asked to meet with Rodney Huff, in which I did so. So I know there's questions about me meeting with certain groups, but all candidates asked me to meet with them, and I did. So I just want to make that out there. There's no secret meetings going on. So for everyone, for all the help next time, I just want to say thank y'all for being here. This is important.